Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Tonight's video, what we want to do is cover some of the questions that people have on the LS swap and keeping the 4-speed, the factory 4-speed transmission. Before we did this swap, I looked on YouTube and I looked online, and there was some answers on there, but everything was kind of like, you know, grab this bearing and grab this clutch and use this part from this other truck and put this all together and it may work. So basically what it was a mishmash of parts that that people were coming up with to make this work. There wasn't anything like really straightforward, any formula that says, hey, if you have a second gen F body with the old style Muncie or the Borg Warner Super T10, how do I go about connecting the transmission, the old style transmission, to the new style engine and keep everything the same? So what I want to concentrate on tonight's video is just going over that with you guys and basically giving you guys a little bit of information on what we learned. It might not be the best way to do it, but this is the way we did it. And it just happens that everything worked out for us. In our situation, our car is carbureted. It is a 6.0 LQ9 engine. We kept the carburetor. We went with the Edelbrock 7118 intake, and then we went with the LS series tuning box, which is a 6014. This comes as a kit that you can buy all together. So that's what we decided to do. That's the way we went, and then we already had a couple of carburetors that we could use. In our case, we have a 750 double pumper from I think it's Proform or one of those companies, and we basically just mimicked everything we already had on the Chevelle. Basically just copied everything the same way. The Chevelle has a Holly blue pump with a filter, and then it has a 750, I think it's an 850 double pumper on it. So basically all we did is we followed that same formula. But back to the transmission. So I guess you could say the correct way to do it and to go about it and to get the best bang for the buck is what you can do is order a transmission from a company called American Powertrain. They sell bolt-in kits with basically a 5-speed, or I believe you can order a 6-speed, and it'll be a newer style transmission that will bolt up to your LS motor. It'll give you the new style transmission. It'll give you the 5th gear overdrive. As you know, these 4-speeds do not have an overdrive. So that's the way to go about it if you want to do that. I tried to go that route, but I called American Powertrain, and I'm sure they're worth every penny. I've seen plenty of coverage on the Optima Streetcar Challenge, and I've seen all these different Pro Touring Camaros and Trans Ams that have their transmissions. I've seen some C10 channels where they use their transmissions. But man, guys, it was $5,500 is the quote I got from them to put one of those transmissions, one of those 5-speeds behind my 6.0. Don't get me wrong, I mean, I'd love to do it maybe down the road. I'm thinking maybe even later this year we may go down that road, but man, doing the swap at the time that we were doing it, I just couldn't swing it, man. It was just a lot of money that we didn't need to spend at the time. So again, that is the easy way. If you want to just, you know, bolt something in, it's just get an LS motor, whether it's a 5.3, whether it's a 6.2, whether it's 6.0. Call American Powertrain and then just get one of their kits, you know, and it could be anywhere from $5,500, $6,500, but they guarantee that it's a bolt-in kit. You will not have any problems, and the performance advantage of going that way is even better. So again, but in our case, again, we stuck with the 4-speed. We went in it, I mean, just not even knowing where to look. We did YouTube research, we did Google, we did everything, all kinds of research trying to find ways we could do it. So let's start at the top real quick, and then we'll move to the bottom. We'll get the car up on the rack. So starting at the top, the engine is a 6.0. I didn't mention this in the other video, but it is a fully rebuilt engine. It does have new pistons, rings, bearings, all the good stuff. The heads have been gone through. The cam is a Texas Speed and Performance. I believe it's a V2 or VR2. I think that's what they call it. And we went with that cam because we still wanted it to have a little bit of a cam sound, as you heard in the at the start of the video. So the car actually sounds really decent. It sounds about the same as it did when it had the stock 400 in it. Bolting everything in was very straightforward. Everything went right in. You know, we used BRP hot rod mounts that basically just replaced all the factory stuff, and then the engine sat right back in almost the stock factory location. Since the car is an AC car, we did keep the AC box. We kept the big power booster for the brakes and all that good stuff. The car already had some big electric fans on it when we got it, and a big aluminum radiator. I think it's a Griffin aluminum radiator, so we already had that. But again, that's basically what we did. The next thing that people had problems with is the headers, right? That's another big question that a lot of the F-body guys have is what headers do I use? Because what happens is when you have this setup with the 4-speed, especially keeping the mechanical linkage, there is a bar that runs across from the frame to the motor, and that's called a Z-bar, and the headers, just about every header out there hit, right? These headers we have up here on the wall, those headers we actually got from BRP hot rods. They're super nice. They were like $600, right? They didn't work, right? There was just no way they were going to work with the Z-bar. Basically what was going to happen is this area here was going to make contact with the Z-bar, so that's just no way that was going to work. So let's get the car up on the lift, and we'll talk a little bit about what we did and what headers we used to get everything in there. All right, we're back. So looking at the exhaust system, looking at the headers, what some guys end up doing is they end up going with just manifolds, like off of a pickup, off of a truck. These headers are block huggers. I don't know if you can see them there. They're block huggers from Speed Engineering, and I mean, basically the way they sell them is to fit just about any GM vehicle, right? There is no guarantee that they're going to fit your application. They're kind of just universal, right? But here I'll show you what I was talking about. You can see the Z-bar. I'll see if I can point my finger at it. The Z-bar is right there. It runs from the engine that way, runs to your linkage, right, to your rods, right? There's your clutch fork, and then there's all your shift assembly for the 4-speed. So on the driver's side, it's wonderful. They fit. I mean, you got all the room in the world. You go all around. They clear everything. They come with really cool V-bands, just like a turbo setup. So they work great, right? You know, they go around everything. But when you come to the passenger side, that's a whole other story. They come really, really tight to the frame. Really tight. So you can see right there, you know. They come really tight to a mount, and they come really tight to the starter. Now we're using a bigger MSD starter. We did find that if we had used a stock GM starter, we would have had a lot more clearance, right? It would have been easier. But for right now, MSD is what we have, so that's what's going to stay in there for now. So that was it, man. I mean, that's all we could find that would fit under here that we could use. Long tubes. A lot of guys said, what about long tubes? Well, as you can see, a long tube header would come through here, and first thing it would hit would probably be that Z-bar. And if it didn't hit the Z-bar, the long tube would come down and probably make contact with this piece here, right? Or they would have to come down really low, uncomfortably low, right? So we didn't want that. You know, the car is not a race car. It's just a cruiser street car. So that's why we kept it that way, right? It doesn't bother me none. It worked out perfect. Now, how to mate the 4-speed to the LS motor? What we bought, again, instead of ordering a bunch of mishmash of parts, what we bought is we went to Pace Performance, and they sold us an entire kit that was a bolt-in. It came with the new bell housing that bolts right up to the LS engine. I mean, it is designed for the LS engine. It came with a new clutch fork seal, new bolts to bolt everything up, and on the bell housing, and I'll zoom in, you see that boss right there? You basically take your pivot ball off your factory engine and then you screw it right into the bell housing, right? And that allows you to run your Z-bar, right? The bell housing is spaced perfectly to allow you to bolt your 4-speed back on, and then everything stays back in the same spot. We used the stock cross member with the mount. It went right back to the factory mount. So that was, honestly, I mean, for us, it was $1,000. Somebody asked, well, how much was that? It was $1,000. But you know what? It was worth it. It came with the bearing, came with a pilot bearing, came with a clutch fork, new clutch from Ram, clutch and pressure plate, new flywheel. I mean, it just came with everything we needed to get the job done. So it was well worth it. Oil pan. Some people have asked, what about the oil pan? The oil pan, believe it or not, this is just an F-body oil pan off of like a 2002 Camaro or Trans Am. That's all it is. It's just a stock oil pan. Check it out. Look how awesome it is. Look at that clearance. And then here you can see the BRP mounts, right? No adjusting anything back and forth and all that stuff. They just go right in. So that's it, man. If you guys have any questions, please make a comment, post a comment, and I'll try to answer the questions as best as I can for you. As far as tearing the car up to do this, we kind of did everything where it's removable. Everything can come right back out, and we can put the car right back to stock. We didn't cut any new holes. We didn't drill anything new. We left all the factory fuel lines in place. We left all the factory return lines. Everything was retained. All the stock stuff was left. For the fuel system, let's talk about the fuel system real quick. So what we did is, again, it's just a Holly blue, right? With some -6 line, with just a filter. And what we did is, we came with a little banjo fitting that went on to the factory feed line, the factory line coming out of the tank. And basically what that did is, and I'll see if I can get the camera a little closer. Basically what it is, it's a banjo fitting that fits on there. It leaves us a -6 male, and then you basically just come in with your AN fittings, right? And then so we wouldn't cut up the car. We took advantage of anything that was a factory hole. Like here, the car had a factory hanger, a factory exhaust hanger, so we just used that to mount the this bar that we bought down at the Tractor Supply, and then we mounted everything to that. The Holly blue, I'm not gonna lie, it is rowdy, it is loud, a little bit louder than I would like. So the plan is to order a new tank from Tanks Inc. with a internal fuel pump, because we do intend to go EFI down the road. So that's why we did that, and that's why we're gonna probably order a new tank. So all right, let's get the car down. And again, if you guys have any questions, any comments, if there's anything you guys would like a better look at, you know, something that you didn't see, or something that you still have a question about, you know, ask away. And again, you know, the way I did it, you know, we didn't skimp. We kind of went all out and spent the money. If anybody knows of a header that works, of a better header that works with this factory 4-speed setup, leave a comment. Let us know about it, because we'd like to know. I mean, if we can change these little block hugger headers out for a better header, we'll definitely do that. Now, The 400 that was in the car before, it actually had block huggers in it. See that? See, the car already had block huggers. So this is not an issue that is just on a LS swaps. I mean, obviously they had a problem with headers too, and that's why they had block huggers on there. So, all right, let's get the car back down and let's talk about getting the car running. Let's talk about getting it tuned up and getting it ready to go. Let's get the car down. Give me just a second. All right, we got the car back down. Let's talk about how to get the car started with the carburetor setup and the MSD setup. It's actually pretty straightforward. The only difference here is that you still use the carburetor, so you're still going to have to adjust your carburetor how you normally would. The best way to adjust a carburetor, as you guys know, is connect a vacuum gauge to the to one of the ports, preferably one of the direct ports for full vacuum, and then basically just adjust your carburetor accordingly. You know, your air and fuel mixture, and what you're looking for is you're looking for the highest vacuum reading that you can get at idle, right? And then the other setting, of course, is in this case for our fuel pump, we used a Holly Blue. We just adjusted our regulator to about 7 psi of fuel, and then we adjusted the float bowls on the carburetor basically about halfway up, midway up on the sight screws to get that done. And then from that point forward, since you don't have a distributor anymore to basically set your timing, what they give you is they give you this little USB. You plug it into your computer, your laptop, whatever. You download to it. You download the program to it. It comes with 2 programs, and then that's what you're going to use to start the car up. Now, what we did is we did a little bit of research, checked with a few guys, we even checked with a guy, a friend of ours that's actually a tuner, and we asked him about how to go about this. So the box itself has a little dial, and I'll show you on the box over here, on the MSD box. The box has a dial that you can set up, and I call it a tune, but it's not really a tune. It's just a timing curve, right? It's from idle to whatever you decide that you're going to max out to. In this case, we set the limiter at 6,500 RPM. It is pretty cool. The box does come with, it even comes with if you want to do a line lock, if you want to do a stutter box or anything like that, you can set that up with this, and you'll be carbureted, and you can still do this, right? So they're going to give you 4 different curves, right? Custom 1, Custom 2, Custom 3, and Custom 4. And then they give you some preloaded tunes. The preloaded tunes are a little aggressive, a lot of timing. Doing some research on a 6.0, they don't like a lot of timing, especially with a lot of compression. This motor we kind of estimate to be almost at 11-to-1 compression, so you don't want to give it too much timing. Basically, what you can do is, it's really neat because you can load 4 different curves into the box, and then you can go straight to the box. It's going to have a little rotary dial on it. You can see it right there. And then basically what you do is you use a little screwdriver. You go in there and you go Custom 1, Custom 2, Custom 3, Custom 4. And you can change your curve according to your needs, right? If you're running super unleaded, if you're running regular unleaded, you can change that around. It's the same thing as a distributor. On a distributor, basically you just back out the timing or bump up the timing. It's the same thing. The only thing is you're doing it with a laptop, or in this case with a little screwdriver, instead of using the wrench. So in this case, let's open up the program. It's again, this is a 6014 box. And we'll go to the tune that we have in the car right now. This is the tune that we have in the car right now. And again, I keep calling it a tune. It's not a tune. It's just a curve, right? So we have it set at Custom 1. Right there, we have it set at Custom 1. And then this is the curve that we started, right? So we started at 200 RPM. We gave it 12 degrees. At 500 RPM, we gave it 13 degrees. 700 we gave it 15, 800 we gave it 16, 900 we gave it 17. So at idle, the car idles between 900 to 950. It's at about 18 degrees of timing. According to the tuner that we spoke to, that's what he likes. It seems a little aggressive to me, but he said that that's where it works best. And then from that point forward, we went 1,000 RPM. We kept it at 18, and then 1,500 RPM. We went 20, and so on, until you get to 4,500 RPM. It's still at 26 degrees of timing. So basically, if you ever messed around with a carburetor, it's the same thing, except you can actually see, or you can actually set your timing like that. So here, I'll zoom in a little bit so you guys can see it. Here you've got your 20, you got 3,000 RPM. We're at 26 degrees. Look over here. It tells you that right now we're in rotary position number 1, custom 1. This is a live system. You can turn the car on and you can change your curve on the fly. You'll actually see a difference in the car. We did it when we changed the idle. We changed the idle a little bit, the timing around 950. We pulled timing out and you could actually hear it in the engine. And then over here, it gives you the readings. It gives your engine speed, it gives your ignition timing, your map setting, your coolant temperature, and all that stuff. Right now we are connected. We've got the wire here connected to it. I'm not going to turn it on because the fans are so super loud, you guys are not going to be able to hear me, right? Let's go to custom 2. So this is custom 2. This is another one. Again, you can choose this with the rotary dial. Now, since we're not using the map at all, we're going to be using this lower table down here, right? So here it tells us at 200 RPM we're at 15, 600 RPM we're at 16, 1,000 RPM we're at 17, and it just keeps going on and on and on. And then at 2,500 they jump to 35. At 3,000 they jump to 41, 42, 42, 42, 42, all the way across. That's kind of aggressive from what I understand on this type of setup, right? Again, please post a comment if you guys have any ideas or any questions. My intention is to go through, I forgot this thing is a touchscreen. I do intend to set the 4 different tables, right? That's another table, that's custom 4, right? I do intend to set up all the tables, and then that way, once I'm satisfied with them, I'll be able to just use my little screwdriver and my rotary dial, and I'll be able to switch them around. It does come with setting, like set tunes. For example, you can choose an LS1 engine. That would be like a 5.7. And again, since we're not using the map you would use in a boosted application like a turbo or supercharger, and then you would connect a vacuum hose and you would get your map reading. Since we're not doing that, we're only going to use the bottom line here, right? So again, here you can see for an LS engine, you notice here it says read only. You can't make changes here. There you've got your different timing curve, and then you've got the truck setting, right? Where you could that's like for a pickup. Well, look at that, 48 degrees at 4,000 RPM. Whew. Better be running some race fuel there, buddy. And then of course it's got the truck HD. Truck HD is if you're running super unleaded, from what I understand. You can tune by cylinder if you want. You can actually change the timing if you've got a cylinder that's running too hot. Again, this is for the turbo guys. This is for the boosted guys. I'm NA. This doesn't pertain to me. You can tune by temperature, right? You can actually set it up to where you can pull timing depending on how hot the car gets, on where the temperature is, or how cold it is. You've got a step retard box. This is for nitrous. You can actually hook it up to your nitrous box, your nitrous system, and you engage it with a button. You connect it basically to your solenoids. So when your solenoids engage, you'll be able to pull timing out of the car. How cool is that? And then of course you've got your launch retard, right, which is the step, and then you've got your data acquisition, right? Now, if you want to go live and you want to drive the car around, you can open up this screen here, and with this screen you can actually put the laptop in the car. The cable is long enough to reach in the car. Put the cable in the car, the laptop in the car with you, turn the car on, go for a drive, in here you can record, and it'll give you a reading of what's going on, and then you can come back and play it back so you can see. That's actually something we're going to try probably over the next couple of days. We're going to try hooking it up inside the car and take the car for a drive and see what it does. This would obviously work really well if you're at the racetrack, right? And you want to run the car, make a pass, and then you want to come back, make some changes. Now, keeping it very simple, guys, this is just timing. You're not changing your fuel curve. You're not changing any of that stuff. This is just timing. This is no different than old school guys like myself going to the track, running the big block Chevelle at 32 degrees of timing and saying, man, I wonder if it'll run better at 34. You get your 9/16, you move your distributor a little bit to 34 with the timing light, and then you go make a pass, and it went a couple of tenths faster. You come back and you bump up the timing a little bit more to 36, and you go make another hit. Same thing. The only difference is here you're doing it with a laptop, right? So I know some of the old school guys fight this. Trust me, I've fought this forever, but eventually we just got to give in. As you guys saw, they're announcing that they're going to do away with gasoline cars by 2035. That, to me personally, that's nuts, but whatever. Okay, so anyway, that's it. If you guys have any questions, any comments, any information, if you know or have used a header with the 4-speed and the LS motor, and that header worked for you, please share it with us. Let us know. There's a bunch of guys that are going through these swaps, and they ask questions, and man, it's really hard to find good information. So if you guys know something that the rest of us do not, if you guys have some information, if there's something you've done on your car that worked for you, please drop a comment. I will be sharing this video on a couple of Facebook pages where a lot of guys that specifically do these swaps. I think one of the pages is called LSX Second Gen F Body. Those guys always have questions on what's going on how to do the swaps. So again, leave a comment if you're a manufacturer of a header or anything like that, and you know a better way. Then please leave a comment for us. And that way we can share that information. Again, thanks for watching. Again, stay safe, and see you guys on the next video.